Welcome to this week's Tiger Bite, the midweek review and preview show of all things Glasgow Speedway. I'm Derek Smith and delighted to be rejoined in front of the camera by the well-rested and well again, Bryan Copeland. Are you there, Bryan?
I'm finally made it back, Derek. Fit and well to host another show, so glad to be back.
Good to see you back, Bryan. Good to see you back after the stresses of a live edition last week. Bryan, a review and preview show, so it would be very remiss of us, and in fact I think it would not be forgiven by the Glasgow support if we didn't dwell on Saturday night's Derby delight against Edinburgh. And of course we have a big meeting tomorrow down in Suffolk as Tigers visit third place Ipswich. So I think that's the size of the ask tonight. Bryan, you were there on Saturday night, and I think going into that meeting, most of the question marks probably were over the Glasgow side, because Edinburgh entered that meeting top of the league, unbeaten, appeared to be in form, whereas the Tigers had struggled a little bit to get over that finishing line against Workington the week before. Fair to say that we didn't quite expect what happened?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a shock the way it went for everyone, to be honest. Edinburgh just didn't really seem on song for whatever reason. Perhaps the track was catching them out a little bit. Obviously, they had the crash with two of their own guys coming together, which was a real surprise. You don't often see that happening with someone like Sam Masters. And I think our guys had put the effort in to make sure they were fully prepared for it. I know Tom Perry had done a lot of work during the day with Richie. Obviously, Dan Bewley had been working hard on his starting and things like that as well, and it seemed to pay off. Everything just seemed to kind of go right for us, apart from, of course, the loss of Nike Lunna early on in the meeting. But barring that, we sort of everyone else sort of turned up and by and large did their job. And I think it just showed the potential that we thought they had at the start of the season. We saw some glimpses of that on Saturday night. And when you look at our top three heat leaders as well, they're just in an imperious form at the moment, and that just sort of set the tone for the whole meeting.
I think you're right, Bryan. Again, entering that meeting and the build-up to it, Edinburgh, I think through their own social media output, suggested some confidence in their camp in terms of, if not winning at Ashfield on Saturday, then certainly leaving with a point in the bag. And early on in the meeting, the first 3 or 4 heats the sides were locked together. Nike crashed out of the meeting, as you mentioned. We're going to speak to Nike just very shortly, so you catch up with how he is. But from Heat 5 onwards, it was the Tigers really turned up the ante on the Monarchs, and three successive 5-1s, as you remember, Bryan, and suddenly we found ourselves 12 points clear.
Yeah, it was that sort of period in the middle of the meeting that we just took massive strides, and Edinburgh never recovered from it. So, the guys, likes of Tom, like I mentioned, and Dan played a massive role in that, stepping up for a couple of those 5-1s, and they went on to get more later in the meeting as well. And yeah, just that period, sort of heats sort of 6, 7, and 8 or something along those lines, just put us too far ahead, and that was it for Edinburgh. And I think they had 2 heat winners all night through Mark Riss, so which is that is pretty much unheard of from an Edinburgh team coming to Ashfield in recent years. So yeah, everything just went our way on the night in respect to the result, at least, and it just it went our way.
I think we had felt, and Stuart Dixon had said as much publicly, I think we felt that in the previous weeks of the season that Glasgow hadn't quite caught fire yet. The heat leaders were obviously on form and held the side together by and large, but we were lacking points from the second strings and from the reserves by and large. And we did hope and pray, I guess, that Saturday night was the night that some of those guys would find some form, and in particular Dan Bewley and Tom Perry really came to the party.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we mentioned, Tom was obviously working on his starts with Richie before the meeting, and he went out and got a couple of impressive results in those sort of heats in the middle of the meeting. And Dan, what can you say about Dan? I mean, I paid 15-point maximum on what is only his sort of third or fourth appearance at Ashfield this year. His first ever in this league. It just shows what potential he's got, and we're only just coming out of April into May. So you just wonder where he can go from here. Really, he didn't really know himself when I asked him that question on Saturday night. What's next for his career, or for his development? I suppose he want to do that on a more consistent basis and perhaps transform some of that into the Premiership. But just what a talent, and I think we've got to be pretty honoured to have him at Ashfield for the next sort of few months.
Absolutely, Dan's a quiet lad. We all know that, and he would admit it himself. But undoubtedly, I would imagine, against his former employers, he wanted to put in a good performance on Saturday, and of course for his new employers, and that's exactly what happened. But there was one heat in particular. I remember really noticing Dan in so much as his self-assurance on the bike, and it was heat 11. He made the gate, and as he came off the second bend, he actually had the presence of mind to look back for Aaron Summers. He was looking back for his partner. I remember thinking, for a rider of such a young age, that was quite an amazing thing to see, actually.
Yeah, he does have an old head on young shoulders, and it's given he's only 17, that's he does have a real sort of presence of mind when he's on the bike. He's got real track craft as well, and I think we can have a look now at Heat 14 as well, a race that people will remember fondly. Dan, I think, up against Mark Riss, going for his maximum, and let's see what happened when Dan missed the gate and Mark beat him out of it.
Dan Bewley is in as the replacement for Nike Lunna in Heat 14, going for his maximum. It's Max Clegg off gate 1 in white for the Monarchs. Gate 2 in blue for the Tigers is Tom Perry. Mark Riss goes off gate 3 in yellow, and it's Dan Bewley from gate 4 in red. Mark Riss coming in to replace Mitchell Davian for his 7th ride of the night. What an amazing meeting he's had. Paid 14 from reserve so far for the Monarchs, waiting for Tom Perry to fall forward then in this extraordinary first Scottish derby of the season here at Ashfield. Here we go with heats at number 14. It's Clegg, Perry, Riss and Bewley off the outside. Down towards the first turn they go, and it's side by side between the men in red and yellow, Dan Bewley and Mark Riss. It's Riss who's got the lead. Could he end another Glasgow maximum here in this heat number 14? He's already beaten Richard Lawson in that extraordinary heat number 12. It's Riss, the German, who leads the way. Dan Bewley in second place. Tom Perry is in third. And at the back in white is Max Clegg. Is at the inside. Bewley has a look into turn 3. He's not quite going to get through there. Mark Riss out on the outside. A bit of smoke from his machine there. Dan Bewley getting closer and closer as Riss goes up high again. Around turns 1 and 2. He's gone too wide. Bewley up the inside. He's got him into the back straight. Dan Bewley is not going to be denied here tonight. He's heading for his first Glasgow Tigers maximum. Into the last lap we go of this heat number 14, this incident-packed, action-packed Scottish derby. The Allied Tigers have already secured the win, but Dan Bewley is heading for his first SGB Championship maximum. What a great night for Dan Bewley. He wins heat number 14. Absolutely stunning. Mark Riss in second place, Tom Perry third, and at the back in white, Max Clegg will finish with a no score. Dan Bewley is elated. The Glasgow fans are elated. The Tigers roar is in full voice after that one. Absolutely stunning stuff from Dan Bewley, charging through on the inside at the start of lap 3. Riss just got a little bit loose on the outside there, got out of shape on turn 2. Dan Bewley able to seize the opportunity and dive underneath him. That's a 5-ride paid maximum so far. We'll wait to see if he's in heat number 15. Bewley the winner of heat 14, Mark Riss in second, Tom Perry in third, Max Clegg at the back. 1 heat to go. It's the Glasgow Allied Tigers 52, Edinburgh Monarchs 33.
Here we are, Brian, heat 14. That will live long in the memory, because that race in particular just was the icing on the cake on Saturday. The match already was won by heat 14, of course, but Mark Riss, as you mentioned, is a talent. He was expected to pile up some points for the Monarchs on Saturday night from the number 6 race jacket, and that's exactly what transpired. He was their only race winner on Saturday night, but Dan stalked him and passed him when perhaps he didn't need to by that stage, but quite a race to look back on.
It was, and I think the way he kind of went past him as well. You could see, even when he missed the gate, you immediately tell that Dan was after him. It didn't take him a long time to build up the pass. Within a sort of matter of seconds, he was past Mark and cleared off into the distance. And it was, it just kind of capped off a really memorable night for him and for Glasgow. Of course, the man who should have been in that heat was our own Nike Lunna, the flying Finn. So I'm sure Nike will be pleased to see Dan stepping up to the plate there and knocking in the win for him.
So talking of Nike, let's not keep the lad waiting any longer. Nike, I believe you're on the line and you're back home in Finland. Can you join us, Nike?
Yes, I can.
There he is, the swoosh, back home in Finland, Nike. First of all, how are you first and foremost? Because you had a particularly rotten Saturday night, I would suggest. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But bring us up to date. What's the damage to yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right now. I was a bit sore 2 days after the crash. Actually, I was sore every single bit on my body. But yeah, well, now I'm all right. See the doctor yesterday. They put a big plaster on my hand, and the hand is not sore anymore. But and hopefully it's getting better soon. But yeah, otherwise I'm all right.
That's good to hear. So have you broken a bone, Nike? You've broken your thumb, is that correct?
Yeah, I have, if I show on this hand, this bone is cracked on my thumb. So they couldn't say me how long it takes to heal.
Okay.
I'm going to see a doctor next week again and take other X-rays and everything. So then I know when I'll be back. But yeah, hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon, Nike. Let's look back on Saturday night, if you don't mind. Oblige us, please, just by looking back. So heat number 3, Nike Lunna came to tapes. Before even the first turn, Nike Lunna was sent sprawling on the track. Can you remember what happened? Was it yourself and one of the Rees brothers who collided?
Yeah, I think we made quite a decent start, and I was slightly behind. Was it Eric?
It's Eric. It was Eric. Yeah.
Yeah, and when he slid the bike, it touched on my front wheel, and also I fell off, and yeah, that's it.
And
of course you got. Sorry, Brian. After you.
I was going to say there was a little bit of when they announced that it was all 4 riders back in that heat. There was a few people in the main stand that weren't too happy. Did you have any feeling that Eric did anything wrong in that first turn, or was it just simply 2 guys going for the same spot?
Yeah, that's it. First turn, that happens quite a lot. We were just going on the same place at the same time, and he was inside and took me off. Well, it wasn't his fault or my fault. I think it was all right for our back.
Yeah.
So of course, we were aware on Saturday night that Aaron Summers had taken your bike home to do some work on it, and we were all anxious to see if it made any difference to your racing or your starting, etc. And of course, you came back out for the rerun, but that didn't last very long, Nike, did it? Can you talk us through your crash on the 4th turn?
Yeah, well, my bike was a bit bent after the first one as well, but it was rideable anyway. Yeah, then I made a quite bad start and was last on the first turn. Well, that was all right, but I didn't think the drag was so creepy when I went round outside in the 3rd bend. I was just going too fast, I couldn't turn more, couldn't brake, obviously. And he was on my line, and I just couldn't turn more and couldn't do much more either. So that was just where it went. And after that, I just remember bashing my head twice and had a broken thumb.
Oh dear! I seem to remember that. I seem to remember you. I could visualise you being in 4th place on the 4th bend, and then you appeared to make up so much ground very, very quickly. Yeah. Before the crash.
Yeah, I was trying to go past outside, and I was coming just too fast, and he went outside coming out of bend, and just couldn't turn more, and that happens sometimes.
So obviously it was a hugely disappointing night for you, Nike, personally on Saturday night. I know you did stay around in the pits for a little while to catch some of the action, and I guess to catch your breath. Did you know almost immediately that your night was over?
No, absolutely not. Like I was feeling quite alright in ambulance, and well, I had a sore thumb and wrist, but I thought I can ride still. That's why I went back to pits. But as soon as I tried to push the clutch, the handlebars went like was pushing straight on this bone, which was broken. So I just couldn't push the clutch. So that's why I needed to say that I can't ride.
And you haven't had much luck with your hands and your wrists with injuries over the last couple of seasons, Nike. Is it the same hand or wrist that you keep hurting, or is it just a coincidence?
Yeah, it is same hand. Like
Yeah.
I broke the bone first, then my hand went on the back tire and ripped all skin off, and now I broke the thumb on the same single one.
And of course, Nike, there's never a good time for a speedway rider to pick up an injury. We know that. But it is early season. But you'd only last week, I think, had your first meeting for Rosbergarna in Sweden.
Yeah, we should have meeting next Tuesday in Sweden. Also, I need to skip that as well. But yeah, of course, it's never good to have injuries during the season. But I think it's like if you have injury, it's good to have on exactly this point when I'm not missing too many meetings and like it's only start of the year, so I can still catch up other guys. But well, that's again it's just a bad luck. But hopefully keep all right after I fix my thumb.
That's a good way to look at it, Brian.
Absolutely, yeah. And I suppose the big question everyone will want to ask is when do you anticipate you might be back, Nike? I know there was talk that you were perhaps targeting the Sheffield match on 25th of May away from home. Is that one that you're aiming for?
Yeah, that's the one, but I'm planning to do one before that, which is under 21s World Champion qualification in Eskilstuna on 20th, because that's my last year chance to do that, and I think I can really go through the qualification. So that's my plan, but obviously it's only 2 weeks away, and I still have broken thumb and a plaster on my hand, but like. Of course, it's like too sore and like won't let me ride like fast enough like to keep my all. Then I'm not riding. But even if it's like hurting a bit, I'm still doing it. Like that's my last chance, and I don't want to miss it.
It must be a frustrating injury, Nike. You know, if you were to compare one injury type against another injury type, I guess there are some which clearly would sideline you for a longer period of time. So it must be a frustrating injury. You can walk, you can hold things, you probably could ride the bike, but you just haven't got that strength and control that you require.
Yeah, that's it. Like I can do pretty much everything. Like I can still live my life, but that's like almost the only thing what I can do is what I really like doing any extreme sports, especially speedway. But well, I just need to get used to it for now, and like hope it's getting better, and like really let it rest for this 2.5 weeks, so I can be as fit as possible on 20th.
And be honest, Nike, how long did the doctor tell you that you had to stay off the bike for?
Well, that was quite funny because well, when I went to a doctor in Scotland, they told me it's gonna be about 6 weeks. But when I get back here, they told me, well, you have first of all you have like wrong product. Like it wasn't plaster, it was just like straps on my hand. Mm-hmm. That was first thing what they told, like that's not right. And then other thing they needed to take other X-rays because they was taken from like wrong place. That was like other wrong thing what I did in Scotland, but like. They didn't tell me any time here in Finland, like when I'll be back, but they told me that you have like other X-ray and other dime for like hand doctor or whatever who's specialized for wrist and fingers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So next week when I have the doctor, then she's going to tell me like how long it takes. But I check online, like in a Google, I Google how long it takes. Normally it's about 3 to 4 weeks, so I think I'll be all right for 20.
So fingers crossed, 3 to 4 weeks. If it takes that long, we'll see the swooshing once again around Ashfield. Yeah. Nike, knowing we were going to talk to you tonight, we asked for some questions from supporters.
All right.
Are you up for answering some questions from them?
Oh, what's that?
Say yes, Nike. Are you up for answering some questions from?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no worries.
Hope you haven't fallen over, Nike. But, okay, Nike. Let's. Brian and I are going to fire some questions at you from supporters. So, Dot McManus. Good evening, Dot. Thanks for your question. Dot asks, "What's your favourite UK track?"
What's my favourite UK? Well, there's not many tracks what I like in UK really when I abroad here, but I would say probably Peterborough. That's like long and fast, and there's a lot of space and a lot of lines to race up. So I think that's probably best one for me.
Peterborough. Okay, good answer. Ryan, you want to pick up the next one?
Speaking of tracks, Ian Adam, good evening, Ian. He asks, how do the tracks in the UK differ from the ones in Finland?
Well, in Finland, speedway tracks are so wide, quite long, and very slick. So there is like no dirt at all. It's like just hard and dusty. So that's like biggest difference. And in UK, like the tracks are so narrow, the corners like really need to turn. So it's here, like that's why I struggled first year in Scandal. When I used to ride here, I'm like leaning back all the time. But in UK, when you do that, you're going straight to fence. But like after 2 meetings, when I like get used into a puppet, told me in Scania like you can't do that here. Just lean forward and try again. So yeah, I think the tracks are tight and a bit more creepy in UK.
Another question from David Adam. Thanks for your question, David. David was asking a question about the under-21 qualifying round. He was asking which round you were going to compete in. I think you mentioned Escaltuna. Is that a track is that a track you've ridden before? Do you like that track?
Yeah, actually, I've been there only once. It was like tryout meeting 2 years ago before season started, and well, I didn't do well because it was so creepy and it's massive track as well. So I didn't have engine which have like enough power for that track. So I think I need to bring my UK engine to over here because it's so creepy and you really need some power there. But yeah, I think it suits me as soon as I get good engine and like yeah.
Have you looked at the rider field, Mike? Do you know some of the riders you're going to compete against in that round?
Not really. No, I just know that other Finnish guys is Joa Partanen. He's going to be on same qualification, but don't know any other.
Okay.
Good question, Derek. I was just about to jump in with that one. So we'll move on to George Much now. Thanks for your question, George. He asks, what does Nike think he needs to do to increase his average this season, both on and off the track?
Doesn't mean like what I need to do to get it higher.
Yeah.
Well, I think I just need to keep more consistent and like not taking too big risks like I did last week when I get injured. But like mostly, yeah, I just need to make gains. I know that I'm fast enough and I can like beat anyone, but it's not easy to pass anyone. So I just need to make starts. And
anything you think you need to do off the track to help you do that? Anything in terms of your machinery? Any training you think you need to do?
Yeah, well, I think I need to spend more time with my bikes, like everyone is saying. But I think the biggest thing is that when all my family and all my friends and everyone is here, I'm like kind of missing them all the time. So it's like not really interested to do anything else than racing. But I'm planning. My brother is coming to UK end of this year, month. And after that, I think I'm just like trying to get my mom or dad or whoever to spend time with me there, so I can like enjoy doing my bike as well.
Okay, Nike. Another question from Derek Daniluski. Thank you, Derek, for your question. And Derek's asking, do you see yourself as a possible future Tigers #1, Nike? So this is your second season with Glasgow. You're getting better and faster, and you're winning more races. What will it take for Nike Lunna to get to the #1 race jacket?
Yeah, well, first of all, it needs one more year, I guess. But yeah, same again. Like, just need to have good meetings every week and like if I had bad meeting, I need to realize what I did wrong and make it better for next one. But yeah, I think I can be number 1 for Glasgow someday, but well, can't say when, because well, like now I don't know where I will be riding next year. Am I in Glasgow or not? Hopefully yes, but like yeah, I'm sure I will be number 1 someday.
Good answer. I like it.
Yeah, here's hoping, Nike. Jack Besto, thanks for your question, Jack. He asks, who do you feel are Glasgow's biggest rivals this season for winning trophies like the league title and the KO Cup?
Was it like after our riders or?
No. So what sort of teams do you think are our biggest rivals for going for the trophies this season?
That's a tough one. Well, I think Sheffield gonna be quite hard to beat, but I think they have some injuries in the team now, but as soon as they get like full team, I think they're gonna be very tough to beat. But like I know, and like I said maybe earlier, that no one is beatable. Like we can still beat everyone. So, but Sheffield is gonna be tough.
Tigers versus the Tigers. Here another question, Nike, from Peter Colvin. Good evening to you, Peter. Thanks for your question. And Peter asks, before you joined Glasgow, what do you know about Glasgow the city or Glasgow the Speedway team before you came to be a Tigers rider?
Well, I didn't know anything really. I was been there at the track like a few times before, but like I didn't know much. But during the like winter before I came to Glasgow first time, my mum bought me a book, big massive book about Scotland and Glasgow. So she tried to make me read the book, but I never did. Well, I never did, but like now I know that it's a nice city, and like not every, but most of people in Scotland are very nice and like kind. So yeah, I like staying there.
Good. Thank you, Nike.
We just need to get you in a kilt now, Nike, and you'll be a proper Scotsman.
Yeah, that's it.
Just moving on, that's it. The sort of rounds up our Facebook questions, but just briefly having a quick look towards tomorrow night. Obviously, the Tigers are racing down at Ipswich in a big meeting for at the top of the table. What kind of track is Ipswich? What kind of things can the Tigers expect when they go down there?
Well, I think I was injured last year when we was there, so I wasn't there last year. But sometimes it's quite creepy, and like it's all right track, but the biggest problem is that Ipswich is very strong at home. They know the track so well, and there's like many riders who've been there many years, so they know every single line and every single bit where it's like fast to be. But like I think first few heats can be quite hard for us, but as soon boys get like right setups and know how to drag it at the day, so then I think we'll be all right.
Brian, on Saturday night, I caught up with Stuart Dixon after the Derby win, and Stuart, of course, reflected on the success of Saturday night. He touched on Nike's injury, and he turned attention already to tomorrow night's trip to Ipswich. Let's hear from Stuart now. A 23-point win for the Allied Vehicles Tigers over rivals Edinburgh. Takes us back to the top of the championship, Stuart.
Yeah, it clicked for us tonight. After last Sunday against Workington, I was a busy boy. We got Nike Lunna's bike straight to Aaron Summers' workshop. I know Nike got an injury tonight, and we wish him all the best, but I think it might be a broken thumb, unfortunately. I was straight on the phone to Steve Lawson as well on Monday, because I spoke to Dan's dad, and he felt a wee bit lost without Steve. You know, he's a very inexperienced rider, and he's not too sure of setups and such. Like, he's quite a shy boy. So the plan was to get Steve here tonight to try and get his setup sorted, because Steve's known him since a wee boy, and it was very important. I knew the big three would be fine. You know, we will blow away. You know, we beat Craig Cook. You'll beat top riders here, as we proved last week. But Tom Perry, extra dirt on the track, certainly helped him, no doubt about it. And Dan Bewley, obviously, you know, star of the show, let's be honest, because he couldn't have picked a better night for the fans and for us to do it against his old team Edinburgh. But he's quiet, he's unassuming, and he's happy. He got his paid maximum. There was never any intention to give him heat 15. He didn't want it anyway. He'd done his job. But when he steps up to the plate, and Nike Lunna will as well. We are a decent team, and I know some folk last week, say, oh, we're not strong enough. I knew that it was the second string positions last week, and we will be fine. But we won tonight. We'll not get overly carried away. It's great. It's Edinburgh's first defeat this season. As far as I'm concerned, they'd raced nobody until they met us, apart from Sheffield. I meant in the league. They come up against us, and they now know what it's like to race one of the top teams in the league. A good confidence booster for us. Unfortunately, we now don't have a home meeting for 2 weeks, but very important. Good confidence. Riders were a lot more happy with the track tonight as well, which is very pleasing. And I think it was a good advert for Scottish Speedway. I know Edinburgh maybe not see it that way, but from a Glasgow perspective, it was a good night.
The heat leaders, of course, are ever dependable. We've very much been dependent and relying on them this season. I guess there was some trepidation coming into the meeting tonight, given how close Workington pushed us last Sunday. But given all the work off track during the week, Aaron looking at Nike's bikes, Richie Worrell doing some practice with Tom, and you mentioned Dan Bewley being working hard as well behind the scenes. It came to fruition tonight, and what a difference it makes to get the points from the other positions.
Yeah, as you rightly said, last week 46 points. I analysed everything, and I looked at it and I thought Dan Bewley scored 2 points. That'll not happen again. And Nike scored 5 last week. I know he troubled it, but I knew that was what the problem was. I looked at it. 2 and 4 didn't score the points they should have done, and Tom Perry is worth more than what he was scoring. But the track was too slick for him with the water shortage last week. It was good tonight. I still think there's more to come from him. As you say, Richie Worrell's working on his gating, and I think that'll give him some confidence as well. A bit more dirt on the track, and he was making some starts. But when Dan Bewley rides like that, we don't just have a top 3, we have a top 4, and it's a very potent weapon to have at home. We go to Ipswich on Thursday. Confidence is high. Unfortunately, I'll need to wait on Nike, but just hope it doesn't balloon up tomorrow morning. But it's good. It's a good confidence booster. We just need to get Jack Smith going. Obviously, I'll get Aaron Summers, or one of the riders that can team ride, to maybe spend a bit of time with him and see if we can get him going.
Stuart, given all the focus and all the work up to tonight, go off and enjoy yourself your Saturday night. I think you're watching the boxing tonight.
That's the plan of attack if Tracy lets me watch it. Yes, thank you. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Stuart. Cheers.
Thank you, Stuart. Stuart, as chatty as ever, Brian, in the pits, obviously delighted and absolutely on a high, given what he'd seen his team achieve on Saturday.
Yeah, I can imagine he would be. I would have thought that would have been his mood afterwards. I think I spoke to a couple of the Facenas as well after the meeting Saturday night, and they were absolutely delighted at the result as well. So I think he'll anticipate a tougher test going down south tomorrow night. I think that's going to be our toughest test yet, and a real marker of how we are going to perform on the road this season. Of course, we get the rider replacement facility for Nike's absence, which I think does mean that Dan Bewley and Richard Lawson, along with Tom Perry and Jack Smith, can take one of the rides. So whether that'll give us any advantage, I'm not sure. I'm sure Stuart would rather have Nike in the team, and I'm sure Nike would rather be there than being back home. But I think we'll go and give it our best shot. And you never know. We've had a good record at Ipswich in the last couple of seasons. I think we're unbeaten there in a few years now. So you just never know. We might manage to extend that.
Well, let's hope so. Back at the turn of the year, as the teams were being pieced together, we called out Ipswich as a standout team. Their starting lineup appeared to be as good as we're going to find in the Championship this season. They've suffered some injuries, 3 injuries already to their side, and the news this week, of course, is that Justin Sedgman, former Monarch, has been signed as a replacement for Nico Cavati, who's on the sidelines, and James Shanes, who's doing good stuff for Poole in the Premiership at reserve, is the reserve tomorrow for the injured Daniel Hume. Doesn't make life any easier for us, Brian, does it?
No, it definitely doesn't. I think Justin Sedgman is a good replacement for Cavati. I think once he gets up to speed, well, interesting to see how he does in his first meeting. Being a new home track can't be too easy for him. So I think Aaron made that point earlier in the week that he might. It depends if he can turn up there and score big points straight away. I know that James Shanes is a talented rider, and like you say, he's been impressive progressing in the Premiership. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. I don't think he's got a Championship place at the moment. So that'll be an interesting one to see whether or not the Witches might look to him as a longer term solution to the absence of Daniel Hume.
Well, I know there are a number of Glasgow fans making the trip down to Suffolk tomorrow. If you're one of them, enjoy your trip, have a safe one, and enjoy the meeting. Get behind the lads vocally. If you're not able to get to Foxhall tomorrow night, stay attuned to the Tiger social media. Stay across that, and we'll bring you updates on how the team progresses tomorrow night. And Brian, no Speedway this weekend, of course. Next action at Ashfield a week on Saturday against Redcar.
Yep, and that should be another interesting meeting. I think they are surprising a few people now with the results they're putting in. A really exciting team. It's a shame we don't have Nike there, because that would have been a really tasty battle of him flying around the boards against the likes of Jason Garrity and Ben Barker. But I'm sure we'll be in for a thriller with that one anyway. And I think they'll give us a good run for our money. Actually, I think their spirits are up, and they're targeting big scalps at the moment. So that will be a really intriguing encounter, and it could be closer than you first anticipate.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode of Tiger Bite. We'll join you again next week, where we'll look back at our trip to Foxhall, and we'll look ahead to our visit from Redcar at Ashfield next Saturday night. Nike Lunna, thank you very much for joining us all the way from your homeland in Finland. You look after yourself. Hopefully we get some good news from the doctor next week.
Yeah, hopefully. I let you all know on Facebook, so fingers crossed.
Nike, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us. Look after yourself. Folks, have a good week, and we'll see you soon for the next Tiger Bite. Thank you and good night.
Good night.